Hello and welcome to the We Are Power podcast. And this is the podcast where I every week get the chance to talk to brilliant role models, get some of their insights, guidance, top tips, hacks, all those other cool stuff. And those quotes that I always love and think that needs to be on the side of a tote bag or a greetings card range or something like that. But that's what we want. We want this to be practical. The strategies, advice, top tips, guidance, whatever that may be. And whatever you're here for, whether you're navigating your career path, your life, whatever it may be, that's what the podcast is all about, talking to fabulous humans. And this week I am again delighted we welcomed one of our fantastic 2024 Northern Power Women Awards advocacy listers. Wow, that's a whole mouthful, isn't it? Simon Calderbank, positive leadership mindset coach. Welcome to the pod, Simon.
That's so kind. I mean, I think you got me at tote bag. So I'm thinking now hard about what I can say that can be on a tote bag. I thought a billboard would be good, but a tote bag wins it hands down. But no, Simone, lovely to be here with you today in this wonderful, the sun is out there, but I think the sun is shining, not just in the sky, but I think the sun can be shining as well, holistically through what we do at Northern Power Women. So yeah, I'm delighted to have been nominated to be on that list.
Make our own sunshine. That's what it is about.
Exactly. Always.
I'm always fascinated as to how people get to where they got to, because it's not suddenly, I'm not, I don't think I woke up one day and went, right, I'm going to set this whole community up or do this.
I bet you did.
Yeah, well, maybe. No, but at some point, when I think, right, I'm going to join the Royal Navy, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do a bit of hospitality, then I'm going to absolutely set this whole stuff up. But we're at that point that you go, I'm going to be a positive leadership mindset coach. Where was that from? What's the background and the build-up?
Great question. Okay, great question. I'll keep it as short as possible. I set up a business in 2013 called Big Nose, as you do, because everyone said, you're dead nosy, you're curious, you've got quite a decent sized nose. I was all, okay. And I was basically working within the creative and digital sector, looking after people's new business, marketing. And I'd done that for years. So I was good at it. I enjoyed it. But then I got a cancer scare in my nose, of all places. So thankfully it was benign. But what it gave me was I had to take 8 weeks out from the business, and it gave me a chance to reflect. And I'd realised that something was missing in my world. I could do the job I did, and I ran the business well, but my mojo had disappeared. I was kind of going through the motions. But the one thing that was consistent and constant was I loved helping people. I'd helped people way all through my career, from being an undertaker, that's another story, to working in hospitality, running nightclubs, restaurants, doing sales, always basically solving people's problems. And then it kind of dawned on me as I was sat in the sunshine in Cumbria thinking, why am I helping other people as in helping them make money, when the most important person I need to think about is me? And therefore, if I do that, what can this person then actually offer out to the world? And someone says, people always come to you and talk to you and you listen, and you've not just got a big nose, you've got big ears. I'm thinking, bloody hell. And it just kind of transpired that they said people tell you stuff that they don't tell their closest. So something about you appeals to people to share secrets and share their troubles. So I said, right, okay. So I suppose from business development, I kind of migrated into personal development and decided to take a leap of faith, which cost me a marriage, if I'm honest. My wife, or ex-wife, said, this is why we can no longer be together. You take too many risks. And I said, it's the right thing to do, and it will benefit not just me, it'll benefit you, it'll benefit the kids. And she went, how do you know that? And I said, I kind of just know. And that's what I did. 18 months of learning a brand new world, a new language, I suppose in terms of psychological theory, how the brain works, and being taught and coached by some incredible mindset coaches in the Northwest. I was really fortunate to come across people who had my back and who gave me the opportunity to, I suppose, shift in terms of learning. I had no money, so I took loans. I took major risks. But you know what? Obviously, the marriage side of it, I can't really comment on, but it's the best thing I ever did. Because now I feel that the job that I do is not a job, it's a passion. And that's been the difference. And my kids are better for it. Me and my ex-wife get on handsomely well, and she can now see the decision I took. It was the right thing to do. So yeah, it was because of a cancer scare in my nose and having the time to think and reflect about what was important in the world.
And a few things sort of jump out at me from there. Undertaker, hospitality sector, sort of different ends of the scale there. But I'm always fascinated.
People.
I spent a lot of time in the hospitality sector, and I think it's 92% of the population of the world actually have worked in hospitality at some point in their careers. And you also think you talk about mentioning, that empathy is at the core of what you do. You have to be that in the hospitality sector. Do you think that served you well? Because I think sometimes there is no such thing as a one straight path, is there? Some people are braver to take risks. Some people are kind of more sort of structured. But do you think some of that enabled you to sort of make these risks because you brought empathy into what you were doing, and you knew that it would make sense because you knew what you cared about humans?
Yeah, I think even when I was answering the phone as a 9-year-old, when my stepdad was on call because he was the undertaker, so I'd answer the phones when he was out, obviously, dealing with, let's say, people's passings, and I can't say I enjoyed it, but I got it. He taught me well. But what it meant, I was dealing with people who were suffering. So it became normal. And then I was promoted into washing the cars. Okay. And then I was put in the front office on a Saturday morning to deal with people who came into the chapels of rest to, say goodbye to their loved ones. So I was surrounded by it. Therefore, it just became normal behavior to be gracious, to be respectful. And I didn't know what empathy was as a teenager. I probably didn't know what empathy was until about 10 years ago. But I was demonstrating it in my daily life. And I was raised by 3 women, my mum, my auntie, and my older sister. So my stepdad didn't really come into the house until I was, 15, 16. My dad had left when I was 4. So I was surrounded by women who seemed to naturally exude this warmth. They were resilient, and there were no pushovers as I can remember, but they gave me a sense of purpose. They gave me confidence. They also taught me how to treat people, which my stepdad did. He was very polite, P's and Q's, taught me how to iron a handkerchief, shirt, loads of stuff. So I had really good role models. And then the work that you do, you take your behaviours into the workplace, and you said hospitality, natural, looking after people, making sure they felt good, making sure they had an enjoyable experience, dealing with them if they had complaints. For me, it was like, I'll go and see Simon. Why? He's good at that stuff. And people would come to me and go and just offload, be it customers, be it colleagues. So that it just became normal. And I enjoyed it because I knew how it made people feel. And that was the bit for me that was magic. Knowing what I could do would make people feel not so much better, but reassured or relieved. And sometimes better was my drive. It was like a drug, which was free, and it's something that I could deliver. Therefore, I just wanted to do more of it.
And you talk about your household. You talk about your dad, and you talk about this matriarchal household. Your mum, your auntie, your big sis. Was that your trigger for this passion of allyship?
Probably looking back, it was, but I didn't have that moment of truth until somebody picked up on a post I'd done on LinkedIn a few years ago, and it was an old friend, and she said, "Who are you to tell me, as a man, as a white CSI gender male, to tell me as a woman how to think and behave? How dare you?" And I was gobsmacked, and also disappointed that that's how my words had come across. So I apologised and said, "Give me time to think about it." And my auntie passed about 2 weeks later. I mean, it had been coming, but she passed. And I suppose when people pass, you have the moments to think and reflect. And it suddenly dawned on me, because she said, how can I listen to you? What do you know about women? And I'm thinking, well, all my clients are women. women procure me through HR. I'm thinking, that's not it. That's not it. And then it suddenly dawned, I was raised by 3 women. And that for me was the moment of realization that that's why I do what I do, because I was nurtured in a female environment. So therefore, and I know women are more empathetic than men, not neurologically, the way their brain stems are formed. They've just got more ability to create connectivity. And I think that's kind of given me that understanding and validation about what why I do what I do. But no, I didn't know that. I just thought, oh, women buy me because that's what women do. It's more that fluffy, mindset, coaching, development. I never really thought about it until somebody called me out. And then that very same person, when I'd done this huge piece about why I am who I am, I asked her to proofread it. And she cried reading it because she said, it now makes perfect sense. I said, yeah, but without you and your calling me, I would never have realized what it was. So I said, thank you so much. And again, she's been there all the way through the last 3 or 4 years, supporting me, challenging me, and keeping me on an even keel. So,
and it's interesting because I know you work very heavily with female leaders across the North.
Yeah.
And I want to come back to that in a second, but you talk about, you were almost stopped in your tracks, like called out. You went away, reflected, and then you wrote this piece over here. So how do we change that? Because how do we get more male allies and intentional? Because there's an element that if you are called out or stopped, it might stop other people. I can't say that. Can I say that? Can I use that language? What right gives me as a man to use my privilege for good? So you could.
She used those exact words, Simone. She used the white male privilege. That was the line that made me. Oh, it hurt. Not because I just thought, is that how I come across to others?
But how do we create more Simons, right? And different Simons, because we need different types of allies, don't we? There's no cookie cutter here, because that's not going to be diverse. But how do we stop people going, oh gosh, I'm too afraid to be an ally because I don't want to say the wrong thing? What would be the one sort of simple top tip that you would give to encourage somebody to lean in to being an ally and not being afraid of saying the wrong thing?
I think firstly, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and have a really good look at yourself. And I think take the time to ask yourself, what am I doing? What can I do differently? Who needs my help? And once I understand who those people are, ask them. I've got some great advice many years ago, and it stays with me today, and I use it all. And this might be one for the tote bag, which is read your market and then feed your market. So in other words, listen to the very people that you think you have the ability to help, because they're the people who will give you all the answers. And that, for me, that's the key thing that I think a lot of people don't do. Well, I've got a great idea. Okay, then. Why is it a great idea? Because I think it is. Maybe not the best approach. So for me, talking to your audience, but you need to know who that audience is. And then you go and ask them and you canvass them and you find out and you listen, you understand. And then you come back with solutions, but you run them past those people as well. So I think look in the mirror and ask yourself those key questions. Who am I? What am I doing? Who am I helping? How am I helping them? And how can I do that better and more effectively?
And it's listening, isn't it? Asking and listening and then taking those individuals with you on kind of the next steps. Tell us what you're most proud of in the work that you've been doing specifically around female.
I was going to say my kids then. I'm most proud of my kids, but obviously they're not work related yet. I think every customer, every client, every project that I work on gives me a sense of gratitude. They're all different because they all have different challenges, whether that's a senior leader in a big sort of global corporate, or it's a startup entrepreneur, or it's a young person, a teenager who, let's say, has different learning requirements, or a troubled teenager, who are, I suppose you could say, let's say, on the edge of tipping into the abyss. There are so many different outcomes, but I think the key common denominator is that they all realised that the answers they were looking for were always within them. And what they'd done, and this is the bit that gives me the most purpose, I think, is they'd reached out. They'd sought support from an outside or an external, someone like me or another coach, and had let that person in. Because as a coach, my job is to, as you said, ask lots of questions, but then listen to understand, not to reply. And by listening to understand, you can then ask more, I suppose, more probing questions that then elicit, because the answers are always within us. It's just needing someone to be able to help you, I suppose, unpick them, unlock them, because normally they're kind of hidden away for very good reason. So it's difficult to pinpoint the successes because there's so many of them. In fact, well, one woman who was literally couldn't even look at me in the eye. She was successful, but she was frightened. She had lost all her confidence. She's returning back to work. She got 2 kids. She couldn't make a decision to save her life. And she won't mind me saying that. And she went through a program. She went through a 1-day. Then she went through a much more in-depth program with me. We helped her with career choices, mindset, leadership. And she was in a toxic environment in a big corporate. She took leave. She left. She got the job of her dreams. And she said to me, she said, I would never have ever, I wouldn't have even gone for the job in terms of applied for it if I'd not met you. That's powerful. She got the job. She heads up a department within a big global telecoms company. And she's brilliant. But she always knew that, but she'd forgotten how to find it. And all I helped her with was uncovering the magic, which she'd always had. So that's probably that's the one that I could say is, yeah. So basically helping her find her voice, her confidence, her mojo. I think she even called me a magician, which sounds a bit weird, but that's it. The mindset magician, that's it. The mindset magician.
How many toe bags do you want?
Just the one, maybe, but double-sided. I don't know. But she was, yes, and the best thing is, this particular person has referred me on. That's the best testament I can ever have. She's passed me on to people who would never normally come to me in their hour of need, because they didn't know I existed. Or if they did know I existed, they perhaps didn't think they could trust me because obviously the male, white, privileged, etc. But no, the people that she's passed on have really benefited because all I've done is help them unblock the barriers that they were holding them back. So, yeah.
This is why sort of that real sort of allyship, and I know this is part of a role in your coaching, but this is why outside of that, this year you were nominated and successful to join the very first inaugural, if you like, the very first
by that person as well, the very person we talked about. It was she who nominated me. There's the nice segue.
Amazing. And why is this important to you? What are you most proud of, and what is next?
Why is it important? What, being part of the Northern Power Women?
Yeah.
I think firstly to be around like-minded souls, kindred spirits, people who don't just talk about making change, they demonstrate it. I was touched. I went to the event last year and I walked out completely gobsmacked, mesmerised. I've never had so many goosebump moments as I did that night. And I just thought, wow, there's my, not my audience, there's my community of people who make change, who are making a difference. And that really got me. And I never expected to be nominated. I was absolutely bowled over. I was just chuffed with being nominated, as in chuffed with being put forward. So to be part of that initial list was, I mean, people say humbling, but it was. Because I look around the room and I'm sat with, Nazia, Okay, I've met you once, and here I am again, and I'm on the same stage as you now. I'm kind of, you're in my world, and I'm in yours. So that for me is powerful. Being around people who want to make a difference, and there's more impact with a collective. So much more impact with making changes, creating more allyship around within men, if it comes from the right place, where there's thousands of voices, not just mine. Someone said, how can you make change? I was all, by joining a really powerful community called Northern Power Women. Again, it gives me the chance to be part of, you know, one thing I've learned is that there is power in the collective. There's more influence. And, you are a role model for that community. And I saw that on the second event I went to, which is the one where we were nominated. And I just took a different tack. I just sat back and watched. I chatted to, I think it was to Kim, who was next to me. We just chatted all night about all sorts, but primarily about our roles in how do we help make society more equal. And obviously, we can do that within our own business community, the Northwest. But how do we create the ripples then that go across the regions, the countries? I want my daughter Ella not to feel that she has equal rights in the work that she chooses, in how people treat her. At the moment, I don't think we're nowhere near that yet. It's better, but as we discussed off record, the landscape it's uncomfortable because it's run by the wrong people, and that's all I'll say on that. We need to change the what's it? Change the mood music, to coin a phrase, and I think we're doing it, and it's getting louder. Just needs to be amplified now, and you are, and the community is the way to do it, and I'm proud to be part of it.
And I'm really excited about what we are taking forward, what we are going to grow and move through. This is never about a pin badge. It's never about one night. It's about what we do with the power of the collective. Mr. Simon, thank you so much for joining us and being so candid with us and passing on your
No,
skills
thank you.
and knowledge. We look forward to working with you, changing the mood music and listening to understand. I think there's my tote bag moment. That's my Clinton's card. Other brands are available.
Not
Simon, thank you
mindset
so
magician,
much.
then. Not mindset magician. Quite like
I'm gonna phone a friend on that one.
that.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to
Thank
all
you.
of you. We know these conversations matter, and we know that the insights and the tips that you can take away to enable you to do. This is the power of the collective. It's more that we can do better together. That's what it's about. So thank you for listening. Thank you to our fantastic guest, Simon. Please stay connected on all of our socials: Facebook, LinkedIn, We Are Power; TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, We Are Power_net. Look forward to catching up with you next week when I'll be talking to yet another phenomenal role model. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Simone. This is the We Are Power podcast, a What Goes on Media production.